All right.
You mic'd?
Let's give another round of applause to the marketing team. So I'm really excited about this year. I'm really excited about what we did last year. And there's three things I want to talk about today. We'll reflect a little bit about what we did in 2017. We'll talk about what is in 2018 and beyond. And then I want to talk about one team and one future, and how do we all come together, building our future together, right? So first of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for a phenomenal 2017. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. '17 was a great year for all of us. You saw the numbers. We grew across all the technology areas. And it also improved the overall economic sustenance of this business itself. The things that we did to align ourselves enabled us to do more of a value-driven business and balance it with the volume business that we already have. So the continued success of everything that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, each and every one of you individually contributing towards this, with the SA team, the launch team, PMO, everyone in warehouse, staging, engineering, operations, finance, each and every one of you contributed towards the success.
The barista.
And the barista, right? So each and every one of you contribute towards the success. I'm really, really excited about what we accomplished. We grew our professional services. We grew managed services. We launched a new website, right? We also improved our presence in social media. We started 3 new practices: hybrid cloud, software lifecycle adoption management, and also expanded our practice around maintenance across third-party maintenance. So overall, there was a lot of things that we did, and it's very important for us to understand the things that we've done last year, which has really enabled and built a platform for 2018. And that is very important because 2018 is all about how are we going to execute and how are we going to push the boundaries of who we are individually. It's really going to be that inflection point of, as a company, can we shift the trend and really move upwards in terms of growing the overall business itself and capturing the opportunity that's right in front of us, right? The other thing in 2017, last year when we were at the town hall, each and every one of you talked about communication. You said communicate, communicate, communicate. I hope that we've heard it clear and you're getting more channels of communication. You know, there are trainings that are happening on Fridays. You're hearing about what is happening in the industry, what we are doing with our services, how are we launching the services. Communication coming out from me, from Brad, from Tom, from Meg. All the leadership team are hopefully giving you all the information that you're looking for. Let me see a raise of hand. How many of you feel that you know what we're doing? Are we communicating enough? Do you want more? We'll do more. We'll do more. There's going to be more and more information that's going to come out. You see the emails coming out from me about everything that different teams are doing. I think it's important for all of us to understand what the other group represents and what they are going through towards achieving that common future. So with 2017, I couldn't have asked for more. I really want to thank you all again for a phenomenal 2017. And now let's talk a little bit about 2018. 2018, we have set a target for 2018. And the target is really for all of us to align towards a common goal. It is about services. It is about growing the services business. We want to be a services-led company, a services-led culture. Our target for 2017 is $745 million in total bookings and $100 million in services bookings. It's a pretty significant growth, and I do believe that we can accomplish this growth collectively if we all align and focus towards that common goal. What that means is we need to do things faster. We need to do things more accurately. Everything from quoting services to delivering services, to managing projects under budget within time, even to entering our own time, into the system. The system is going to be as good as the information that's put into it, right? So it is going to take each and every one of us to collectively focus towards executing on that common vision and that common goal. We talked about three things from a strategy perspective. We said there's three ways we're going to really grow this business. We're going to go after new markets. We're going to focus and try to do more with our existing customers. And we're also going to enable our customers to transform. We haven't changed that strategy. That strategy is still what we're executing on. So new markets, we're growing our team here. We're growing our team in the East and the West. With the addition of Mike and Tom in East and West, those sales teams are growing. We're going to invest in engineering resources, pre-sales resources. The success and the metrics that drive the success in those markets will drive additional investment, and we'll continue to invest in this market. We need to own our own backyard, right? From a customer perspective, there were 75 new Fortune 500 companies that shifted to Dallas from 2010, and around 700,000 new jobs created. We should be the king of the hill in Texas. There is no doubt. With the presence that we have here, we should own this market. And we are going to execute on that vision this year. We will continue to drive and have more people tackling and getting in front of customers, talking the GDT story. We have a phenomenal innovation campus. No other company in our business has this facility and the ability to present this group of brilliant minds in front of customers to solve their problems. And that's a huge differentiation. So that is going to be one of our key focuses. And services is going to drive how we are going to go to market. It's not just one service, it's everything from professional services, managed services, hybrid cloud services, field services, right? Every aspect of how we can drive more value to our customers, right? There is value in selling product, don't get me wrong. There's absolute value in selling product and enabling our customers to consume that technology in a much more lean fashion and in a much more faster fashion. So we are going to expand on the ability for our customers to consume technology through different channels. But as an organization, for us to truly drive that value-driven component to our customers, it is going to come through these advanced services. It's going to come through these professional services. It is going to come through how we are going to help them solve problems through all the different pieces of our teams and bringing that together. Our vision is eventually we will continue to drive to be that high value driven integration company where historically we integrated everything at our infrastructure layer. We are continuously moving up the stack. We're continuously moving towards software, analytics, data analytics, leveraging data to make decisions and enabling customers to make those decisions, right? So you'll continue to see more and more things come out of those. We had a great use case of a POC that we did for one of the trucking companies. It was a year-long project that went through in terms of really modifying a truck and embedding devices around that truck to collect data and enabling the customer to prevent or respond faster if there is any emergency related to that driver. When the driver gets, either there's a bullet shot or someone is trying to rob that truck. Those are the types of projects you'll try to see us do more and more and try to compress the time to execute on those projects, do more POCs that allow our customers to see the value of technology and consuming it, and then executing against it at scale, right? Executing against it at scale is very important. So we have to individually challenge our limits. If we don't do that, then GDT as a whole will not be able to challenge and expand beyond where we are. Which really leads to the last piece of the conversation, which is about one team and one future. Let me ask you one question. What is GDT's most prized possession? Absolutely. It's you, it's the people. We are the culture. This is our house, right? This is your house. And you decide how you want it to be. We can have fun going through this as we embark on this journey and as we start looking at new challenges and opportunities, but it has to be one team, it has to be one vision that we all are focused towards. We have a lot of competition on the outside that we need to fight. And it cannot happen without all of us having the same vision and having the same drive towards that future. So 2018 is about one team building towards one future. That was it.
I like it. Well done, Vinod. And I'd like to add to it only in that, thank you, Vinod. Okay. Excellent. I'd like to add to it in that 17, I would like to also offer my thanks for 17 to you, the whole team, Tom, our account managers, our project managers, the whole service delivery team, the team that generates invoices and prepares the financials, the team in the warehouse, the logistics, recruiting. We all kicked ass. 17 was an important year because 15 and 16 were so difficult. And it was a year where I was on the cusp of, 15 and 16 being so ill-performing, and it was difficult coming over the SAP hangover and all the investments we had done in GDT. And I'm happy to say that it's paid off, and 17 was a good year. And it was really important for me personally and the health of GDT. And I want to thank the whole team for doing that. So I appreciate everyone. Let's continue. As Vinod said, we have a lot of work to do in 18, and we are moving forward in a new, challenging direction. And we have the right team in place, and we're going to continue to build on that team and go kick some ass, and we just couldn't be more pleased. That I was sitting there thinking just a minute ago, they made fun of me. We were talking about how important services are. And we've kind of skirted around a little rule in the Cisco playbook in that to be a Cisco VAR, you have to have 30% of your revenues coming from services. And they like to, the reason why that is because they want to know their VARs are attaching services to the very product that they sell. So it's really hard to push boxes, as they say. We've kind of gotten around that a little bit because we have such a vibrant layer one EF&I business, and that actually occupies most of our service attached number, but it's actually not attached. So, and what that really means is that we need to build a more robust service environment that has to do with selling the technologies we sell. The Layer 1 business, it's great. The EF&I business, helping phone companies absorb technology faster, that's all good and great. We're going to continue to do that and build that segment of our business, but we have to grow the attached, go to market with complicated solutions and have the services delivery around it. And this is going to be the year that our account managers realize how important it is. This is a year we hold them accountable. This is a year that our whole service team has to rise to the occasion and manage projects properly, because we have to hit this $100 million number in services. So I'm looking forward to that challenge.
Yeah.
And looking forward to going into this year with that big mountain to climb for us all. And let's just open it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was sitting there thinking about when we went through our Cisco Gold audit. They used to make fun of me because I got up and I told the story, the butterfly effect. Anyone know what the butterfly effect is? Okay, that's, I see one nod. I see one. So how many people knew? A lot of people. Okay. Well, then for those of you who don't know, the butterfly effect is if a butterfly flaps his wings in North America, is it possible that that little ripple of current can result around the globe and create a hurricane, right? Does anyone understand that? So, and what it essentially means is very small activities can result in a large outcome, or maybe small efforts don't yield a commensurate return. Or very small efforts can yield a much larger return. And I think that's going to be the message going into 18. I'm going to rekindle something from way back. Is the butterfly effect. It's a lot of small movements. Yeah. Let's try to create a storm. Let's flap some little butterfly wings and disrupt the current. And let's try to create a storm this year. And I'm looking forward to doing it with everybody. And I want to thank you for being here with me. Thanks.
So now we really want to open it up for
do like a panel, Q&A?
Q&A.
Okay.
So we'll walk around and...
This will be a good time for me to get a cup of coffee on it. I'll just see you guys.
Give me a mic.
You want to up on the stage?
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, got one of me. I had one-on-ones going on with Vernon and Parkland.
No worries.
That's right. That's it. There you go. That's a good idea. Put them down here. This works. There he goes. No.
I don't think this was planned very well.
The feature presentation, full Monty.
No. It is cool.
Yeah, Tom, you should really talk to the person responsible for
It
marketing.
is really cool. Yeah,
A third one down there, then a couple in the back, or we're spread out. Got it.
So what is top of mind? What do you guys, questions? Any questions? Nick? You're good? Kristen? Because you gotta, let's open it up. These guys are waiting for questions. They've come fully prepared. They spent all night, none of them slept last night, so they have everything written down. So hit them with questions. They're actually going to get a bonus depending on who answers the right question. What is top of mind? What do you guys want to hear about?
Leslie.
So do you want to talk about getting us comfortable like you talked about for
Okay.
I love that. You're right, because it applies to the whole company.
So in the sales meeting, I talked about three things as a theme for 2018 to the sales team. I said there are three things we should be doing as an account manager. One is you have to be disruptive. You've been very successful with the accounts and the customers that you have, great relationships. But if you're not thinking of disrupting your current account and looking at how you're going to change the way your customers are consuming technology, then someone else is at the table disrupting you. So either you're disrupting them or you will be disrupted, right? So we talked about that and how do we enable ourselves systemically and programmatically do that. How can the teams here enable the account teams, to be disruptive? The second piece was getting uncomfortable. I am a strong believer that we basically can process the data based on the knowledge we have. So, we know to sell things, we know to do things that we are comfortable, that we are really good at. And it's when it's something that we don't know, it makes us uncomfortable. We don't want to touch it. We don't want to take that risk. And being uncomfortable is very important, which is what we want to do this year is with the whole challenge on services. It is about getting uncomfortable and making sure that we hit those targets for services. And how do you accomplish that, right? It's one thing to just put a goal, but how do we execute on that goal, across the company? And that's where, this leadership team comes into play, where we will work with the teams, enabling them. And our goal is really to, create a clear path to success, right? And then that's what we'll be continuously focusing on. And the third thing that I talked about was breaking the box. Every customer sees us in a certain view. There's a perception that if I go in, they'll think that I am a great, I'm good in certain things. So as an account manager, your customer sees you as, okay, you're selling this to me. But they don't really realize that GDT can do all of this, right? So break that box of what the customer is seeing you and jump out of that and start talking about everything else that, we collectively bring to the table so that, customers are aware of that. So that was the message to the sales team.
Yeah, and it's complicated because sometimes they have to. It's uncomfortable because they have to form new relationships with the customer. And I challenge everyone at the company the same way. We don't need the mindset that this is just how we did it, and we're going to continue to do it that way. We need people challenging, escalating issues to the leadership team and saying, hey, why are we doing it this way? Well, maybe we should do it this way. Yeah. We can't have a culture that's around not challenging. We need a mindset about challenging things all the time.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to see maybe if there's any skepticism about that being more than just words and actual culture around, hey, why do we do things this? People in the logistics team and staging team and the engineering team, people working on SAP, people in Bob's office group. Do you feel like we have an environment where you can say, yo, why are we doing it this way? And then there's well, that's how we've always done it. Anyone want to raise their hand and say we have that or we don't? We do in a good way or don't? Well, you haven't been here long enough. You don't know. No offense. Yeah. How long have you been here? A month? 3 months. Okay, well, you have been here long enough to know something. My apologies. Gosh, time flies. 3 months? Amazing.
Question connected to that. I think everybody's okay with being uncomfortable. And maybe this is more a question for Tom or for Brad, or you guys jump in. But what investments is GDT making as a company in these new technologies, the things that we truly are and our sales team truly is uncomfortable with? Because it's easy to go in and talk to people, but when you get beyond that discovery conversation, we really need to be able to prove up that we have an established practice and we're not flying by the seat of our pants. So I think everybody would really like to know, what's GDT doing to invest in those new uncomfortable places?
Absolutely no investments.
Yeah, I'll take it from the sales standpoint, and then I'll have Brad do it from a capabilities. Part about being uncomfortable, and hopefully you're all experiencing that feeling right now, freezing to death. It's our way of just saying, hey, let's all be uncomfortable at the same time. But from a sales standpoint, the real adage of sales is you can't sell what you don't know. So part of being uncomfortable and part about expanding our capabilities is around the training of our existing reps away from their core competencies. So basically, the way I describe it to them is you're digging a hole, and each time, over the past few years, you knew where to dig, you found gold, and it just repeated itself. Well, what's happening is our customers and our industry is changing, and that same place where you dig, it's getting a little bit less rich. You're finding a little bit less of what you're expecting, and you have to go look for another opportunity, another franchise to go into. So we've expanded beyond just a Cisco-centric VAR. We're still growing our Cisco business 22% a year. We'll always lead with Cisco in the networking space. But now as our reps go in and they're seeing there's a tremendous opportunity in services, in data center, in storage, we're having to train that team to ask different questions, to talk to different people, and most importantly, to position the company in a different way instead of saying, hey, we're Cisco's #1 VAR in this area, we have 4 master certifications around Cisco. We're also then having to say, and this is the big and conversation, we can execute flawlessly in your data center deployment for storage. We can execute flawlessly in our services capabilities around the assessments, the implementation, the ongoing management. And it takes a little bit of time. I mean, it's a big ship that we're turning, but the proof points are we're seeing our legacy team that have been here for 18 years, 10 years, 9 years, starting to sell not just different things, they're selling more of what they used to, but they're also now selling unique offerings within our value prop that are basically forging new relationships with existing customers, depth and breadth, providing more entanglement. So Vinod had mentioned what we're doing on Fridays. We've got an upcoming on the 12th, I believe it's the 12th, the 16th, we're having HPE, their leadership team, come in and talk about hybrid IT. What is it? How do you position it? Not just from a Cisco standpoint, but from an HPE standpoint, but from across the platform. We have on March 2nd, the team from App Dynamics coming in to talk about and educate our team around what we're doing in terms of application development, performance monitoring for our customers. And you talk about different conversations, that's opening up new opportunities for us to explore the customer's edge computing environment as well. So instead of just selling the core networking, we're now talking to them about remote locations. That drives services, that drives entanglement. We're expanding our headcount as well. So in the past 5 months, we've brought on 12 net new account managers and vertical account managers that bring a completely different skill set and background that they're leading right out of the chute with some of the innovative technologies we're asking our legacy team to sell. So we're seeing our pipeline, literally in 5 months, go from very much strategic areas that we wanted to grow. All of a sudden, we're seeing our pipeline eclipse any expectation that we had based on bringing these new folks in. We've added a new sales leader for the East, Tom Lutz, a sales leader for the West, Mike Souza. Both are bringing on 10 net new account managers in those geographic areas. So we're not just expanding where we sell today, we're forging new markets, we're taking advantage of local reference accounts, and our OEM partners couldn't be more excited. Not just Cisco, but HP, Dell, Pure, Microsoft, across the board. We're having great success.
Can I add a few things? And my message to you, can everyone hear me? Okay, there we go. The 2 things I would like to see driven very, very tenaciously is last year, 13 months ago, I explained to the team that my message during the sales meeting was education. And I feel like I let them down a little bit there. We started off the year and really drove, right before you started, we had started the CCNA program, where I was committed to make sure that all of our teams were at the baseline layer, some CCNA. I don't know how that wrapped up, but we did offer the class, and it was so I feel like we took a step, but we didn't cross the finish line with education last year. I'd like you to make sure we continue that with the account managers and, as it relates to probably vertical account managers as well and solution architects, but training. And then something that I think you mentioned, or it was part of your question, that's maybe physical investment, right? So labs, and that's something we should, last year, again, I was making sure, I was a little squeaky last year because economically, because 15 and 16 were so difficult. This year, I think we should really look at our lab, our capabilities, investment in the lab, in many of the where we think we're going to be 2 and 3 years from now.
Yep.
A lot of white box. I think we should probably have. I had a nice long conversation with Celestica and Quanta last week, and I indicated to both of them that we had pretty robust labs, and I think I might have been embellishing a little. So,
No, it's true.
I'd say those two things. And there's probably more dimension to that, but I just want to make sure I communicate very deliberately that those are areas of physical lab we should invest in and be strategic about it with whatever we think is going to have a good ROI. And then training. We stepped a toe in it last year, but we need to really double down on training this year.
Yeah, that also brings the other point, J-Dub, is we're considering we're looking at reviving the whole GDT Academy program.
Yep.
Of encouraging sort of a continuous education program and progression where fresh graduates come in, learn the system, learn the technology, and have a path to success within GDT going to different organizations. So you'll hear more about that. Stu is really leading that effort, and we're still working to that. But we started that almost, I think it was like 3 years ago or 4 or 5 years ago, and we've had some success with it, especially with the gap in the market where some of these new technologies, capabilities, there's a huge demand, but there is a problem with capacity and availability of resources. And there's no way that you can just go and hire our way out of it. And some of that has to be built where we will invest in continuously growing talent, whether it's not just from an engineering perspective, but it's across the board. It could be sales, engineering, pre-sales, but giving them a path to then be successful once they go through that. You'll hear more from us around it. So
I think the question about investment, Crystal, I want to circle back on that. I think it's important. I'm having one-on-ones. Most of you guys in the engineering org know that we've got some one-on-one scheduled over the next 3 days. I've had a couple this morning already, starting at 7. My challenge back is, obviously, back to the butterfly flapping its wings things. Oftentimes, the outcome that we're after, right, the result, say at the end of 2018, is largely going to be greater than the sum of all the individual efforts. Right, what we accomplish is not going to be measurable in each individual effort. But in terms of investment, each one of you guys, each one of the people in my org and in Meg's org and everywhere else across the company, you guys have to look at your own portfolio of work, let's say, and ask yourself, where am I going to invest this year? Where am I going to take on a little more risk, right? And we have a phrase in my household, right? Say I won't. Say I won't. And I'll overachieve and I'll exceed the expectation, right? And if each of you guys is being a little bit uncomfortable, being a little bit more daring and a little bit more bold in what you do every day, and daring the people that are giving you your work to break the machine and challenge your capabilities, and you're passing that on to the next party and challenging them, you're raising everyone's capabilities, right? Without even a major uplift in effort. And so for everybody that's down on the previous year or that wants more training or a new laptop or whatever your individual circumstances are that's polluting your will or preventing you from going out and coming in every day and kicking ass, ask yourself that. Where am I going to, you watch an E-Trade commercial, at the fine print it says, every investment has a risk up to and including loss of principal. Well, nobody's going to be fired for working hard and challenging the status quo around here. And so that would be my investment advice for the year, if I'm qualified to give any.
You know, if I didn't address training and wrap in this training on SAP, take this opportunity to do that, to inspect what the team feels about, that does interface. Who interfaces with SAP every day? Raise your hand. Okay. Do you have, are there areas of improvement that GD can deliver more training there? Or can we do the task at hand? Or does anyone want to speak out about if we need? Bob, what's your gut feeling on needed training on SAP or?
Do you offer classes in Magic, Bob?
I think we can always use more training in terms of.
Well, okay, raise your hand if you'd like to speak out, or raise your hand if you feel like we need to be more deliberate training on SAP. Okay, I'm seeing 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay.
Yeah,
10. Okay, so the answer is we have a shortcoming there. David, you agree? All right, that's a problem. All right. 12, 13, 14. Is that a raise your hand on the board? Oh, you have a question? Okay, Bob, I think that's something we could take, though. We apparently have an issue or a need with some training. So it's not all about hybrid cloud, our DevOps team. It's not all about selling our technologies. What's that? What's going on? Oh, but it's also about our efforts around our internal ERP system and needing training there, and it, you know, enabling the team to challenge the status quo more. Right? So, because we know we're expecting a lot out of SAP, we're going to have it for a long time to come, and giving the team the tools to challenge the status quo is going to be really important. Yes, Vinod.
She has a question.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I think I can speak for a lot of us when I say that one of the major pain points for us is SAP not working to 100% ever. And so
that would that mean?
Hold on. SAP works 100% all the time.
So is it?
Okay. No, I appreciate that. Okay.
maybe if there were upgrades of some sort.
Upgrades.
So is that fundamentally the system?
Is it
system being
the
slow?
interface?
You know, some things like issues.
Okay,
with
this
the
is good feedback.
Okay.
Thanks.
So that was not the feedback he was expecting.
Yeah, really. No, it is. This is why we do the town hall.
It is.
Right? This is it. Okay, hold on. Well, I'm hearing latency. I'm hearing
Errors?
system upgrades. What else? What's user interface? It's just touchy-feely, right? I know that. But we can work on that. That's something that we can introduce later, the touchy-feely part.
How many?
But latency, it's too slow? You mean just literally push a button and you wait too long? Okay. Everyone? You can't what? And that's because it's glitchy? Okay. We have tickets open.
So let's do this. I think we will capture all the information and then
Well,
start.
it sounds to me like we need to
Go
we
through
need to
it.
take this outside with the customer advocates.
Yeah.
We need to,
Yeah,
has
absolutely.
some hair on it,
Yeah.
and move this forward because that's the funnel where everything goes in the
Absolutely.
system.
Absolutely. How many of you love using SAP? I wanted to end it on a positive note.
Well, look, it's incredibly complicated,
It is
and no
complicated.
one loves their ERP system. I've never talked to
Yeah.
anyone ever anywhere on anything.
Yeah.
I had a
We need to fix this. So we'll
Yeah.
take that offline and get it.
Yeah, I was talking to a CEO a few weeks ago of our largest competitor, and he said, I can't stand our ERP system. So no one likes it, but that's not permission to not always try to make it better. And
Yep.
we need to take will you promise me we have something deliberate with the advocates, and we talk about really get more specific and find out how we can do something programmatically on speed, if it's system upgrades, if it's
Software upgrades.
whatever the glitches of dragging documents are, just little inspection point, and maybe a Tiger team on the cases. We apparently have a clogged funnel on the how many cases exist now? Do you know? Who's in charge of the?
Is BIMO here?
How many? Yeah, is Bimmel here?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
one of the
yeah,
things, JW.
You want to give me an idea? We have 10 cases open right now, or 500?
Number of change requests, we have about.
Well, Yeah, I don't think she said change requests. She said trouble tickets.
So specifically, the trouble tickets related to sales UI, where a customer advocates attach document to the quotation and sales order. That issue has been being worked on. We tried several things, and it's basically, we are trying to figure it out how to nail, because it's an issue between SharePoint and SAP. When the document is attached, it goes to SharePoint.
How many requests have been opened? How many issues have been opened so far? Do you know?
Well, see, this is what we talked about last time, Bob. Maybe I can't. Maybe some of it has to do with architecture, because I've been trying to wean off SharePoint for a long time.
one
And
of the
maybe it's that
things-
workflow.
Yeah.
But
One of the things
let's take the advocate.
Right.
Let's move this discussion sideways somewhere where
Yeah,
we
let
can
me
be
just
more
say,
disciplined about it. Because
one of the big accomplishments of 17 was launching the super user group, which I think is aimed at first line of response to those tickets, because a lot of times a ticket is really a training, right? So it's kind of interwoven with the whole training question. But what I'd like to do is challenge our super user group to help us define the training needs, help us,
Absolutely,
prioritize those
absolutely.
tickets.
Yep.
And who are you guys? Who are they?
Yeah, super users, raise your hands. We've got a lot of super users. We have almost 30 on the team. So I
Okay.
think that's a great resource to help us really hone in on the next level of needs. They've only been formed for a few months and have already done a great job at a new level of user testing when we roll out changes, a new level of defining training needs within their respective groups, because we have super users in every SAP user team. So I think that's
there's a fundamental user experience issue here,
right.
which I think we need to address. And I would not just limit it to the customer advocates. I think the sentiment is across the board. I'd like that to be a combined effort towards SAs. Whoever is touching SAP, I think the message is that there's clearly a user experience issue, which is limiting them being more effective and doing things faster. So I think we will take that as.
Somebody call on Jennifer for her arm falls off.
Yep. So, hey, we're getting feedback from someone. So the pain point is delaying invoicing, because we can't put them in, so it delays getting an invoice. Yep. Okay. We need something more deliberate around decreasing the friction on putting orders in. All right.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. Thank you for bringing
thank
it
you
up.
for bringing that up.
Yep. It's hard. Okay. I'm committed to make sure we continue to take steps forward on this. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
I just wanted to say something with this super user team. I know there's a lot of pain points around it. There's a lot of processes that we didn't get set in place as we stood SAP up. And the super user team, we kind of engaged the 1st of November, and it hit year end and busy for everybody. So David, Shane, and I have been working on a training program for the super user teams that they can help roll out to their different departments. So as a big part of the training that's going on with the different technologies and different things we're doing, you're going to see a lot of that in SAP with the different systems that we're using, or within GDT with the different systems we're using, not just SAP, but Salesforce and other things also. So I think everybody knows who the leads are for the super user team. We follow up under Bob. So if you guys send them all to us, if you don't have a ticket out there, if you have a ticket out there that isn't being addressed, let us know. We're here to help in any way we can. So.
Yeah. And what I will commit is that we will collect all the data from each and every one of you. And then Bob, can we do a bi-weekly update to the whole company on the progress, issues in, what are the changes, we're making, what does the pipeline look like, so that, so that everyone has visibility into it?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Quentin?
I saw another question. Yes? Oh, we have two. Okay.
So from a PM perspective, the CPM has been a good tool, and that's a great rollout in the way that works in the interface. But some of the other issues that that I think would really benefit our team as a whole and our company as a whole is more of the development between SAP and other systems and streamlining, especially like in staging and shipping. From a PM perspective, it's a very cumbersome task to get to the shipping and the staging piece. If there's a way that we can make that a little bit more streamlined, more user-friendly, where it's one screen, I think it cuts our administrative task by a lot when running a project. Some other things, and we've been working with these guys, is a lot more reports. Our customers, and when you're dealing with a lot of inventory, and you're shipping out a lot of inventory, and they're coming back and they're saying, hey, I need to know where this piece, this serial number went to that address. You can't get that report right now without going into each individual delivery that you create. So we've been working with these guys to help with that kind of reporting structure to better deliver a better comprehensive report to our customers.
Yeah.
And on that note, I just like to see more, I just want to see it more streamlined. It's a great tool, it's a great backup, but from a training perspective, I think not just show us the task at hand, but make us understand why we need to do that task and how does that paint the overall picture of we're going from beginning to end, from the starting to the finished product. Because we just do our task and we go, well, that seems really cumbersome, or that sure seems like a lot of steps to get to where we need to go. But if we understood the picture behind of why we do what we do in there, I think it would help quite a bit.
So, the feedback is really good. This conversation is so timely because last night, me and JW and Bob were at dinner, and JW was challenging us about, how do we get all these systems together and drive a better user experience. So one of the things that came out of that was, SAP is our core ERP system, and it's our core business system. It's a system of record, and it'll continue to be that. But we also talked about what investments can we make outside of SAP in terms of development, leveraging our own internal hybrid cloud DevOps team to build, streamline the platform a little bit more and add value to the platform. That goes back to that feedback about pulling data from SAP to present information to customers. Brad and Meg have been extremely diligent about driving, professional services automation. And so we'll start looking at some of those things, right? I think, the feedback is very helpful, and there's a lot of gap. Go ahead.
I think that I'm really talking about that specifically, is being able to pull data back out. I've worked with Bimmel and Deepa, and the data's there. We have reporting and things around it. But in putting the ops into DevOps, we need to start being able to define processes and automate those processes where we pull data out, carry it in between. T-Mobile, Verizon, everybody else wants to see data around shipping, around inventory, around other things like that. And if we can work together to pull the data back out, have some web services things where we can share it automatically between systems, automatically do reporting, and automatically produce stuff for customers, we'll streamline the process and make everybody.
Yeah, and we'll use some of our we'll use platforms that will enable us to deliver some of this value to our customers, like doing it on Azure or AWS, even ServiceNow, for that matter, so that we can, we can learn through this process as well as we're building it for ourselves. Yeah, go ahead.
And that's really what I wanted to bring up. Managed Services earlier this month actually went live on ServiceNow. We replaced our ticketing system that we used to support the Managed Services customers. And now that we're in phase 2, we're discussing with BIML and all the other stakeholders. So all the power users will reach out to you. But One Stop is going to be replaced with ServiceNow, and the objective is to streamline a lot of these processes, give you a lot more data insight, and have that single pane of glass that you guys are looking for, so that the communication is the same. You guys in PMO, when you're talking to someone in managed services, you're using the same terms. Because I've been here less than a year, and the biggest feedback I can provide is there's a lot of silos, and information's not shared between departments, and we have to break the walls down, and it's the infrastructure and the platform that has to change so that the business can go from pre-sales all the way through day 2 operations. And hopefully with this phase 2 of ServiceNow, we'll be able to break down a lot of those walls.
Thank you, Quentin.
Yes, Kizzy.
So, first of all, I've only been here for 30 days, but Brad's team has been amazing, very open-minded to have new products. My background is security, and I love that his team has already made time for me to meet with me, and I appreciate that. And I think it's unbelievable to walk into a company and have people just that open to listen to me. Like I'm brand new here. And I think that Tom is also amazing, like very supportive, very willing to listen to ideas, and I think that's really great to be able to grow and learn what it is that I'm gonna do here. But my question is for Megan. I wanted to understand what she's doing and what's the phase 1, phase 2, if she already has that in place, just so I can understand her role and how that's gonna, help me grow.
Meg, you feel comfortable?
Next 40 minutes.
I know, I was gonna say that's a huge question, but a great question. One of the things when I first walked into GDT, can you guys hear me? We're getting. Yeah, let's trade here. Are we on? Everybody hear me? Okay. Sometimes it's hard when you're sitting up here to tell how loud it actually is. That, and I've been fighting a cold for the last week since the sales meeting, so I'm a little stuffed up. But that's a great question. And, one of the things when I first came in and Vinod started to have conversations about what's going on at GDT and, where are there improvements, what do we need to do? And we started to look across the PMO and some of the areas that we needed to work on and, help mature the organization. What I'll say is, there's some really fantastic people in the PMO. They work extremely hard. There are lack around some processes. There's systematic issues that we've got to resolve. We just put in CPM. There's still a lot of deficiencies there, as you just heard, that we need to go, and we've been working with BIML's team to get that up to speed so that they can be more efficient in what they do. And really mature that organization. One of the things that we just started was we rolled out roles and responsibilities, which basically aligns to, industry organizations. So PMI, what is expected from a project coordinator? What is expected out of a project manager? And that way they've got very clear delineation of what their roles and responsibilities are. As we move through it, the next step is really to align to those roles and responsibilities, build out their training plans. The same sort of thing that sales is going through. Training is going to be key. We've got to make sure that not only are the team very well versed in project management, but also in the technology. So we're starting lunch and learns. We're going to continue to move through that process and build up and mature the organization. Okay.
Any other question? Brad, you want to talk about the?
Yeah, so I do actually. I want to touch on the. If anybody's got a mic, turn it off. All right. So a lot of good feedback has come from the business process side of things, right? So we know each of us as individuals know how to accomplish our individual job better than pretty much anybody else in the building, and it doesn't always map to the training document. It doesn't always map to the requirements map of what the particular tool is or the process. And so Vinod and I were talking about business process in general, how we get our architects and engineers more focused on software and our customers' own business processes. Because if we can free them up from IT-centric stuff, right, they can focus on whatever their primary goal is, whether that's serving patients or serving cheeseburgers, right? We want them to be able to go do their primary goal and us take that burden of that technology piece, right? So what I'm going to be asking each of you guys to do, and I'm going to talk to my engineering group in our upcoming kickoff in March about this. I have a trivia question for everybody. Who likes to make money? Raise your hand if you like to make money. Okay, so who'd like an opportunity to earn $100 for every business process automation idea you bring to our organization, to leadership? Okay, so I heard MC give really good feedback. I heard Marsha give good feedback. I've heard a lot of good feedback about it takes this many clicks, this many steps to do this ship request. I need to invoice a customer, but if this specific set of circumstances exists, it's really hard for me to do that. If you can sit down and map that out and determine a way for us to optimize and or automate that, and it doesn't mean button click, right? I'm not talking about I want to get lunch notifications over text instead of email. I'm talking about legitimate business process improvement that our software team or a third-party software team can help us automate and optimize. We'll give you a $100 gift card for that idea, and we'll find a way to reward you in addition to that if we take that all the way to completion and it results in measurable improvement in process. So does that sound like a good idea for everybody? I know $100 in the grand scheme of things is not going to make anybody a millionaire overnight. But what we can do is we can, again, the butterfly flapping its wings, those small incremental process improvements result in enormous additional capacity on the back end for the recipient of that work, right? So MC, thank you for those really good pieces of feedback, particularly about the platforms that you use every day. We do have opportunity there, right? And you guys know your job better than anyone else. So all of the ideas, the better, and keep those ideas coming, because we need all the support we can get to make the job easier.
Awesome.
You take those directly to Brad, and he's got a stack of gift cards. Just send them. No, so seriously, who would they bring those ideas to? The super user group?
We'll send out an email, and this is also an effort that's going on in the engineering organization, as Brad talked about, because one of the goals is, we need to be almost an automation-led company, a company that automates everything that we're doing so that we can pass it on to our customers. And so there's a similar challenge that he's putting for the engineering organization to say, if you come in with automations for your engineering process, there's incentive for that. So we're working on the details of how we're going to make it visible for everyone, request process. Once that's ready, there'll be an email that goes out to everyone. Anything that you think on a day-to-day basis, hey, this could be done differently. Here are the challenges. I spend like 15 minutes on this, and I think we should be spending less time. Great, let's take that idea, and then the DevOps team will reach back and say, okay, how can you reduce that time? And then we'll figure out what tools we can use to actually build it. So it creates a library. This is IP that GDT will be building. This is GDT's own creation. So that's one of the ideas of doing this. And eventually our goal is that we'll be collecting data. One of the goals of what we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to digitize every aspect of the business, meaning collect data from every aspect of the business. The data coming in from all the different aspects with automation tied together now creates this huge value that we can take back to customers. So, yes. Okay.
So as we're making all these changes and working towards being a more unified team, how are Brad and Meg and maybe Greg Clark holding SAs, PMs, and engineers accountable for their effort and the quality of their work?
I picked on Christy in the sales conference this year, so I'm paying my dues right now, right? She gets a dividend. It's a really good question, right? So I'm actually borrowing from, I don't know if Jesse's here or if Jesse's dialed in, or so our field service team, both for physical integration services as well as our design and detail engineers, these are the guys and gals that not only go in to the customer site and determine the requirements, right? How many rack units are available? How much cable do I need to pull? How many screws do I need? As well as the folks that physically go and install a lot of this product. They have a quality assurance process. Before they can leave the site and sign up to the customer, we have a set of metrics that we use to determine how many screws can you miss? How many scratches can you have, right? How many missed cables for this volume of project? So we're borrowing from that quality control and quality assurance methodology over onto the pro services engineering delivery side, right? So building together with the project team a specific checkout process whereby when you unplug your blue console cable or you shut down your PC to finish your work, these are the very specific things that you must provide back to the team in terms of, I've done this, I've checked that, it's good, right? And so we're trying to, and those are really simple blocking and tackling things that just get overlooked. You feel like you're moving faster by not doing those things, but you actually slow yourself down because obviously we find that we go back and fix more things on the back end when we avoid those steps. So those are really the simple things that we're doing, right? It's just using the really good practices that our Layer 1 team and field service team has. You got to remember the reason why it's not optional for them is because they're going into central offices. They're going into large service provider facilities that are largely compliance driven. You know, OSHA, OSHPD, all of these other different regulatory bodies require that we do these things. They're optional on the technical engineering side of the house, but we don't want to treat them as optional. We want to treat every single project as the most critical, most catastrophic thing could create an issue for the client, and so we're doing those things from a quality control standpoint.
So Christy, I love this question, and I think you set me up, but it's perfect. So one of the things is launch and the PMO need to work, you know, kind of in a circular fashion. You know, it's an endless loop. You know, launch is helping with the pre-sales and making sure that our quotes and our sales and everything goes out the door, and then the PMO needs to implement those. Well, the PMO needs to come back into launch and say, hey guys, this is what our lessons learned were, and this is what we need to do when we sell this next time to make it easier and better and faster, and make sure that we're capturing all the assumptions, all the work that we have to do, and just that continuous feedback loop. And that's one of the things I had talked about at the sales meeting is with launch and the PMO, it's going to be a continuous feedback loop to grow and you know, continue to enhance what we do.
And it's not just on the post-sales process, it's also for our sales team up front to make sure that we're involved in the SOW creation and giving details of what the customer expects, and then not leaving it open-ended where it's like, yeah, the document says this, but hey, nudge, nudge, I'll make sure they do this for you. Because if it's not documented, if it's not signed off on, this team is not gonna know that you gave a nudge, nudge, wink, wink that, you know, really will throw a few extra screws on the truck or really will go ahead and spend more time on it. It has to be done where the service quality of selling is bar none 100%, and then you can expect 100% effort on the back end. So it's the old adage of garbage in, garbage out. The more ambiguity there is in the deliverables, the less we're going to be on target when we try to deliver. So we're going to work with the sales team. We're working with Meg's team on Salesforce documentation around services forecasting, projects, time of close, so we know, okay, I have 5 projects, this one's gonna close this month, this one's gonna close that month, so they can get ahead of the curve instead of getting, oh, I forgot to tell you this big project is due tomorrow, and I need you to rip off 40 people from this project and throw them on that. That just creates issues for one customer, then multiple customers, and then internal. So we're working with the sales team to do a better job of understanding the intangible sales nature of services and making sure that, you know, we're toting the line with the customer on, this is what we sold you. You want something different? There's a formalized process called a change order. I'll present it to you, document. Now we have something that the team can go as an exception, not just a verbal, oh, I'll call them and make them do that, and we'll bill you later. So there's a lot of effort on our side from a sales that needs to get cleaned up as well in order to make sure that these folks can do their jobs as well.
The other thing is, Christy, is that when Meg came on board, one of the first things I talked about to her was around customer satisfaction. So today we actually don't have a systemic structured process where we're continuously asking the customer, are we doing good, are we doing good, are we doing good? And it needs to happen more and more. So that is something that Meg is going to work on. And what I request everybody that's working on different parts of the organization, as we are trying to move fast, if there are things that you feel have quality issues, whatever it is, reach out, just have a conversation. because we can't fix things that we don't know. So I would say don't hesitate. Nothing is a small problem to raise a flag against. So that and then and that whole feedback. My challenge to Brad and Meg is how do we get to the how are we daily inspecting what everyone is doing, and they're continuously thinking of how do we systemically make sure that that's getting done as a process so that it's not so much a reactive process. And that's where all the things they're trying to do is around PS automation. How do I keep track of everything is getting done so that we can make changes if needed. We can help the teams because some engineers may be overloaded. They're not able to get to their task. How do we know, and how are we driving them to give more resources to them so we don't affect the project? But also, it's not only just about customers. It is also employee satisfaction, right? If we don't have a way to manage that effectively, then we'll have dissatisfied employees because they're overworked, and then the quality is going to drop. So that's a big part, and Brad is really big on the employee satisfaction piece. So you'll see some of those things, and customer satisfaction. We should be able to report on it, in the next town hall.
Yeah, and well, thank you. So when I talk about maturity within the organization, it's not just growing up. It's maturing our processes. It's going away from being in firefighting mode every day where we're just triaging and trying to get things done for customers to actually planning. Where are our resources going to be? What do we need 6 months out? How do we set up projects for national rollouts that are going to take a year long? Things that we're doing for AAFES, and looking across the organization to really become more of a thoughtful and more of a planning organization and get out of this knee-jerk, I need a resource there in 4 hours to get this customer work done, and it goes into everyone communicating. You guys have asked for more communication out of us, but we need to make sure that we're communicating across everywhere, So as Tom said, the more information sales can put into launch, the better product you're gonna get. The PMO is really kind of the heart of the organization, and they make sure that the projects get installed. They interface to sales, they interface to launch, they interface to Brad's organization. The better information we can put into the system, the better it's going to be. So, you're going to hear a lot about timesheets on Brad's organization, and that's really a critical thing because that's what's going to drive the whip on our projects. It's what allows the project managers to see and track to make sure things are happening, and make sure that we bill our customers correctly. So that's a really key point. So when I talk about maturity, it's a little bit different than growing up. It's although it's getting us to a point where we can really look across the organization and turn into planning organization and be able to work to implement solutions that are going to showcase to our customers and show them that, hey, as GDT, this is how we solved our own problems. This is how we used our DevOps team to build in the abilities to do timesheets from our cell phone, or be able to track shipping so that customers can log into a portal and get their information.
Yeah. And don't forget, while we're developing these tools for service delivery, the sales team can still sell a ton of product, buy, sell. It just flies through. We do it flawlessly. We sell hundreds of millions of dollars. So don't forget, we can always sell that in addition to all the services. So keep it. Yep, keep that blended margin going, keep that, but attach services, but in the meantime, keep selling the hell out of what you're doing, so it's great. Yep, keep selling everything.
Yes.
And to everybody.
To everybody.
For more than we paid for it.
Simple rules.
Yeah, just basics.
40%.
Yeah. Yes, Nick.
We talked a lot about, cloud and automation and bringing those capabilities on board. But over the last year, I think we, in the service provider market, have observed our layer 1 work being threatened. And I think how, for the large data center builds, where you traditionally see our layer 1 services, you're seeing the commingling of battery and power work lumped in on bid requests, on quotes, on statement of works. And that's getting just more and more prevalent, where the percentage of work that we have to sub out on these large data center builds doesn't keep us competitive. So I was wondering if we're aware of that, and if so, how we may try to address that.
It was brought up in the field services kickoff late last year. That was one of the topics of discussion of how we really get into DC. I have, beyond that, I don't have any insight around Jesse and DJ. DJ, are you here? Yeah.
Yeah, I've worked with Nick on a lot of those. We're seeing more of that for T-Mobile. My name's DJ Overby. I'm the director for the installation engineers, the detail and design engineers. And we go out, we do the surveys for projects like what Nick's talking about. And what we're seeing more of is some of these large construction projects, and maybe 75, 80% of it's in our wheelhouse, what we normally do. There's another part of it that is batteries. Now, from a DE perspective, it is still a challenge because most of the guys on our team don't have that background. We've never required that skill set. It's not something that we cannot hire for or that we cannot learn. The other challenge that we have in doing that type of work is on the installation side. So we got to have the right test equipment. It's very hazardous to move batteries, especially the liquid batteries. One of the hesitations we've had in growing that too quickly or being very focused on that, I mean, we are focused on it, but the T-Mobile group is now going to a Sonic battery, so it's enclosed, it's not liquid anymore. And so we're seeing more of that, but he is right. There is a challenge there bidding on those projects and staying competitive when we don't do a small piece of it. So we are working on that.
Yeah, so Nick, the answer is, I don't think we've had any discussions around bringing it internal yet. So that's something we need to visit. The last that I had was with Jesse and DJ was, yeah, this is the requirement. But we really haven't had any conversations of trying to bring it in-house and sort of lowering the overall cost so we can be competitive. We'll continue to use partners, but that's something that we'll take up and figure out if it makes business sense for us to invest in it, and not just going after T-Mobile, but all the other service providers that we have as well. Yeah, it's a good point. Any other questions, comments, feedback? Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? All right.
Let me say a couple quick things. Thank you, and that's excellent feedback. I wanted to just, on a lighter note, when we go back to the building, whoever is going back, we do have a crosswalk. It's down at the corner. Please use it. There's a whole long story about putting it, what we had to go through to get the crosswalk. Fortunately, no one has been hurt crossing the road yet, and I don't intend on it. So use the crosswalk. It takes about 15 seconds longer, and it's actually kind of nice. Do you use the time for meditation? Okay, I know time's money, but so is a life. And these people drive down this road, as you know, they're going 80 miles an hour, and the last thing they're expecting to see is a person. So it's true. I mean, I've almost been hit myself, so it's so overwhelming how challenging it is. So just go to the corner, take the extra 15 seconds to walk, please. But no other questions?
No other questions.
Nothing? Okay, thanks, everyone.
No,
Oh,
we
yes.
have one more thing.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay, hold on, don't leave yet. We have one last thing. First of all, this was very interactive. I really appreciate everyone speaking up. This is how we want it to be, so I really thank you for doing that. I really enjoyed this town hall and getting all the feedback. This really helps us. It really shows how invested you all are in the success of this conference. Yeah, thank you for that, right? Yeah. We have Darjan.
Oh, yeah.
Now this is the law of the jungle, as old and as true as the sky. And the wolf that shall keep it may prosper, but the wolf that shall break it must die. as the creeper that girdles the tree trunk. The law runneth forward and back. For the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack.
Come on, Bob. Let's hear it. Get everyone going. Come on. Ow! Come on. Let's make it roar. One more time. Come on. Ow!
So this has been a long-standing, like for how many, we started?
We're in our sixth, this will be the
Sixth one, yeah. I asked the manager of this team to give me details about this person, and I said, give me a paragraph, and this is what he came up with. So if I go through each one of this, it's going to take the whole day. But this individual, really represents what GDT is all about. Self-driven, highly motivated, focused on how we can better the company, what can we do to improve the process. The first one to be in the morning, the last one to leave, always focused on making the change, challenging his own limits. He started off in launch as focused on entering data into SAP. Did a lot of things to transform the process over there. Took on training and documentation across the team, and so created the documentation for all the different functional areas within launch. Then later on, also challenged himself. He got into the super user group. He's also one of the super users. He took on invoicing and then went through each individual projects, individually combing through, looking at what was scoped, have we built it on time, and went and redid the invoicing and resulted in 700K more of invoices that went out that got paid on. So this individual is really a representative of who we are and our future. So I'd like to call out Jack Souls from the launch team as the recipient of the Wolf Award. You have to howl.
Woo!
Hey, one more thing. When it was asked who loves using SAP, his paw was the first one in the air. So
I love it. We've got a lot of wolves in the pack, and I appreciate everybody. Let's go out and let's make the pack strong. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.